Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. Today we're going to talk about the Griffin Micro carry comp. And people have been putting devices on guns to redirect the muzzle blast to reduce felt or apparent recoil, to reduce the effects of recoil at any rate, for over 100 years. And various types of mechanisms to do this have been tried. Some worked, some didn't. In terms of compensated semi-automatic handguns, this really started in a big way in the 1980s in IPSC competition, where you have to fire full-powered loads quickly and accurately. And it was found that compensating a handgun would reduce the muzzle flip, or at least reduce the duration of the muzzle flip. So it accomplished the goal, which was to get your sights back on target faster, so you could shoot more rapidly with greater control and accuracy. And it worked pretty well for that. There's also porting, and I'll explain the difference on the tabletop. But I was presented with this device by a friend. These sell online for $65 or so. And looking at the way it's constructed and designed, I was skeptical. Let's go to the tabletop and talk about that. Okay, we're all pretty much familiar, I would imagine, with how a gun slings lead downrange. Burning propellant creates high temperature, high pressure gas, and since the bullet plugs the barrel, it gets shoved down the barrel. And this produces a countervailing force, recoil. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Elementary physics. Porting and compensating cannot reduce that force. They can't. It's physics. Whether the gun is ported, compensated, or whatever, accelerating this bullet to a certain velocity is always going to result in a specific amount of recoil. You can mitigate that with, a semi-automatic system that uses the energy to operate the mechanism or what have you, but that force is always there. It doesn't magically go away. The way ports work is that as the base of the bullet passes the port, some of that gas is allowed to escape, and it escapes up. It escapes up and creates a jet effect. And this is very efficient because the bullet is plugging the barrel past the port. And as the bullet moves past a succession of ports, it allows more and more gas to escape. And yes, less gas escapes from each successive port in absolute terms, but in practical terms, it's not really a difference that makes a difference. So this has the effect of either keeping the muzzle down or at least getting it back on target faster, because it's like you've got little rockets shooting up out of the top of the barrel to bring it back down faster or hold it down. The way a compensator works is the same principle, but it's applied a little differently. You have a port at the top, usually much larger than the ports on a ported barrel system. And as the bullet is going down the bore, right at the end, it gets to what's called an expansion chamber, where material has been removed all the way around the bore in a ring. And when the base of the bullet passes this, the gas expands rapidly to fill this space. And the hole in the end is only very slightly larger than the bullet diameter, so not much gas can get past it, so a large amount of gas is directed upwards, which once again gets you back on target faster. So that's the Reader's Digest condensed version of how ports and compensators work. The Griffin Micro carry comp doesn't do either of those things. It does redirect gases from the muzzle. But as you can see, the ports are on all sides. And inside there is no expansion chamber. Now, the hole in the end is pretty small, and so the bullet mostly blocks it like a compensator. What the micro comp is, though, is it functions very much like a muzzle brake, which are used to reduce recoil force in high velocity cannon, and, to a lesser degree in rifles. This works differently than either a port or a compensator, because essentially the high velocity gas hits the front of the brake and is redirected to the side, so it actually exerts a forward force on the muzzle, on the barrel. You don't want to exert too much forward force on a Browning style recoil operation system, because that would prevent the gun from cycling. But it would take a pretty extreme muzzle brake and maybe more propellant gas than a pistol produces to accomplish that. So what you do is you take your gun, in this case a P365 EX, and if you have a barrel with a 1x28 thread, you can simply screw the compensator on, like that. And I suppose there's an O-ring that provides pressure to keep it from unscrewing. And I suppose what you really should do is take advantage of these nice flats to torque it down with a wrench. I put it on finger tight, and in the course of several magazines, it did not loosen perceptibly. So what this gives you is a very compact package, very lightweight, that will theoretically allow you to get back on target faster and fire with greater speed and precision. So, let's get to where the rubber meets the road. Does it work? I fired this gun with the standard length barrel and with the longer threaded barrel with the Griffin carry comp on it. It was better with the carry comp. I was able to get better accuracy during rapid fire, and in fact I was able to get fairly impressive accuracy in rapid fire. So it does work. Now, guns are different, your mileage may vary, and on some guns with some loads it's probably going to work better than it does with others. So you're just going to have to try it and see if it works for you. Now, in the case of this P365, a thread barrel with a micro comp just doesn't add enough to the gun for me to be worried about the effect it has on concealment. So for concealed carry, for me, this is still perfectly fine. And after test firing it, I really would. Only $65, what the hell? So there you have it. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and honestly, likes and comments are the only way that YouTube knows I exist. So I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you again real soon.